Okay, hi everybody. My name is Paula Gignic. I'm the global CMO of the Exchange Lab, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the programmatic promise and the rise of RTB in Turkey. And if you know nothing about those two terms, then you're okay. We're gonna teach you about that, so don't worry about it. Okay, so this is gonna be a story about technology, but it's also a story about people. So just a little bit about the Exchange Lab. I think when you look at who's coming into the market and you look at who founded the Exchange Lab, it was founded in 2007 by these two guys, James Aiken and Tim Webster. And Tim, I think, is here today, and of course we have a booth out in the expo. But when we talk about technology, you know, there's always people behind it, and these two people are actually some of the creators of RTB. They actually created the concept of real-time bidding, and they also created a really important little technical component that helps us figure out what works within the ecosystem. So this little media attribution piece of technology called the Pixel. So we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later. The Exchange Lab has 5 main offices, but we run campaigns over 29 markets. We're seeing tons and tons of uptake of RTB, and so a lot of our learning is going to come from the global environment that we have, and we can see what's going to happen in Turkey way ahead of the game because we've been everywhere else. So our main offices are United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Brazil, and of course Turkey. And we'll talk about that number up at the right hand, the 730 million RTB impressions that are happening daily. We'll talk about that in a minute. What sets us apart is really our multi-platform approach. So, you know, these guys have been, both Tim and James, in the industry. Their DNA is that primordial soup of you know, digital media. So they were involved in ad networks, they were involved in ad serving. So, you know, they've seen other kind of technologies explode, and so they knew how fast RTB was going to be going, and they knew that they had to take a multi-platform approach from the very beginning. What that means, I'll talk to you about in a second as well, but it's a really important distinction. Okay, so what is programmatic marketing? What's so great about it? What's the promise? The promise is, it says, programmatic marketing involves the use of real-time systems, so being able to do stuff as we need it, rules, and algorithms to automate the delivery of data-driven, targeted, and relevant experiences. The right ad to the right person at the right time. To consumers as they move across your very many brand touchpoints, whether that might be at a sponsorship booth, where it might be on a tablet, mobile device, in social. You want to be able to touch them because the whole ecosystem is quite disintermediated right now. It's hard to find consumers. It's sort of like whack-a-mole. You know, they're popping up here and there, and you're trying to catch them at different times. The experiences, of course, can be ads, but they can also be content. So real programmatic marketing has 2 facets, both content and advertising. We're going to talk about advertising today. And what you want to do is you want to run these kind of sort of systems across your paid, you know, your paid advertising, whether it's search or display or video or social, all around your own kind of channels, and that would be your website. And we'll talk about how that's done in a second. And earned, of course, in social media, because social media, especially in Turkey, we know it's very well used. We want to do this across all of our channels in a manner that recognizes the consumer as they move between devices and channels, and where some sort of action in the previous channel or on the previous content informs the next thing that you're going to do for them as a marketer. Okay? That's the promise. Now, where would we get this data? We said that programmatic is data-driven. Well, there's a bunch of data stuff that we can get. First of all, advertiser data. So this is the advertiser putting a pixel on their site, running some paid programs like search, and putting this ad out, and now we can kind of figure out who clicks on the ad, because we can sort of, if this is the browser, we can put a cookie on that browser, and we can say this person saw a search ad, clicked on it, visited this website of the advertiser, and you know, maybe the idea was to buy a computer, maybe it was to buy an iPhone. Did they or didn't they go through with it? If they didn't, we can retarget them later. I'm going to show you how in this exchange ecosystem. Okay, that's advertiser data. Then there's customer data. You know, where are they located? We can get simple things from the browser, like the IP address, their geolocation. But other things, we might need a third-party data provider to do that for us. Maybe kind of figure out what's their profession. You might have a good idea through behavioral targeting that it's a female and she's 25 to 34, but you know, her income might be better kind of connected to her postal code. So if you're trying to sell her a luxury car and you're able to use a third-party data supplier to say that that postal code is actually a luxury sort of condominium, then that's a good target, okay? So third-party data. Then there's also site data. So if you're a media owner, a publisher, ad network here, you know, what category is that consumer searching on? Is it a social media site? what type of ad are they viewing? Is it a video ad? Is it a social kind of text ad? What size? What format? Is it mobile, tablet, again, connected TV, gaming, device? Where is the consumer coming from? All this data is going into the equation, and that allows us to target specific screens, specific channels. Okay, but wait a minute, we're talking about data. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's just kind of figure out how do we get to this place where we're able to use all this data. Let's do, how about a brief history of the advertising industry in 3 slides. So 1996, how many people were there when the whole digital ad industry launched? Come on, veterans, yeah, right, 4 of us, all right. There were sellers and there were buyers, but there were not a lot of buyers at that time, believe me. So we had to have a lot of one-to-one conversations. Wasn't quite the Mad Men, we didn't quite get as drunk as those guys, but we had to do a lot of one-to-one conversations to get things bought, 1996. Fast forward 5 years, we still have sellers, we still have buyers. They're still having conversations, but now the web is catching on so much that our direct sales force, they're selling out of pretty much everything that they need to sell, but there's a lot of impressions left over. So what do we do with those? Well, here comes ad networks, and they're able to take all these extra impressions, and sometimes the whole websites, and aggregate them so we can now buy female, by sports, by auto, etc. So this is a very efficient way to buy for the advertisers. So the conversations are still going on, but everybody starts putting inventory into this ad network, and the advertisers are able to talk to them as well as the individual media owners. Okay, so a nice ecosystem developing. By 2008, so it's been a year, the Exchange Lab has been created in 2007, and they've been enabling RTB, they've been doing stuff with pixels. Again, the same ecosystem is there, talking to each other, but instead of having this ad network at the center now, here comes the new thing, which is the exchange. Okay, and this example is Right Media's Yahoo's exchange. And what exchanges originally did was aggregate all the networks. So again, trying to make it more efficient. And digital always does 2 things. It sort of starts small, then it really expands, and then it contracts again, right? So we always are looking for a system to help us get more efficient, and that's the contraction phase. So again, we have lots of conversations going on, lots of inventory going in there. And the way that publishers get inventory into this exchange, they use what's called a supply-side partner to help them price it, help them figure out what's yielding the best result, okay? The advertiser uses what's called the demand-side platform, and that helps them get in there. They're the demand side. They get into the exchanges, and they realize they're able to do real-time bidding. We'll talk about how that works in a second. And everybody is using some sort of data. Again, it could be first party, second party, third party, whatever it is, everybody's got some data to put into the equation. Okay, so it's really getting rocky now. Okay, so let's talk about this auction. So with RTB, you are not buying 1,000 impressions at a CPM of $5, $10, $20, $30. You're buying impressions one at a time, okay? So let's put some partners up on the screen, okay? We have a user who is at the BBC website. They're looking in the money channel. And this inventory, we're going to say that it's inside the Yahoo Right Media Exchange, and that this is a user that's already seen an advertising campaign from DoubleClick. DoubleClick is an ad server, well, Google bought DoubleClick, which is an ad server. So let's say, again, this is a browser going onto the money site. It has a cookie on it, and the cookie's ABC123, non-identifying, as we know. And it got in there through this supply-side partner, which is AppNexus. Okay? There's many exchanges out there. But most importantly, there are bidders in those exchanges. So when this inventory comes up, I mean, literally, there's a blank space, and everybody can say whether they want it or not. Okay? Visa's doing its target for its campaign. Maybe it's launching a regular credit card, kind of, just use your credit card, it's time to travel. They may have a run-of-network site, not really targeted. They really want to have a big reach, okay? They'll look for any cookie, and they have a certain bid. Apple has a target of just music listeners, okay? So they don't really want this impression because it's on the money site. That's not what they were looking for. They were really targeting music. Dell, though, Dell is looking for someone that it advertised to maybe a day, maybe 2, maybe 5 days, maybe 30 days ago, that has a cookie on their browser, ABC123, because it's someone who's visited their website and was maybe that close to buying a computer, never did, so let's retarget them and see if we can entice them better, okay? So they really want it. They're going to bid higher. They bid 150 versus the next highest bid, which was 70, but just like search, you pay 1 cent above the lowest bid. And that's the neat thing. RTB has a lot of facets that are in common with search. So advertisers have done quite a good job in terms of search, and it should be easy to understand. The data in search, instead of the cookie on the browser, was I searched for Toyota Prius and best dealership. Okay, that was the data, and then you gave me an ad, I clicked on it, I went to your website. That was the cookie. Okay, so you should be quite familiar how to do this stuff. You only bought one impression there too, right? And you're only buying this one. And the importance is now you're not buying content, you're buying audience, one at a time, through the programmatic systems. Okay, is this going to be big? Yeah. You know, just in terms of what we can see, but don't take our idea for it. Look at the IDC, puts out a lot of reports. If you look at just the growth rates of where RTB has actually been going on for a little while, you can see huge growth rate from year 1 to year 2. So that bodes very well for this market. But even in 2014, these guys who have had it, you know, the US had it in 2007 and 8, you're still looking at 40, almost 50% growth rate. That's fantastic. Okay, that's a real opportunity for this market for both advertisers and agencies and media owners and networks, for everybody. It's an ecosystem, okay? Now, in terms of display, you know, will it be 5% that people put into the market and that's how much we can buy, or will it be larger? If you look towards the markets that have been doing it for a long time, they're getting up to 30, 40% now. And this is a little bit of an older study. It's being revised on the fly, okay? So 40% of display, 30% of display could be RTB very quickly in Turkey. Is that important? Well, you know, if you look at what's happening already, this might surprise you, that there's 730 million banner ad impressions that are already on the exchanges in Turkey, in the RTB market, that are traded daily, that are, you know, asked for and given an ad to. Does that surprise anybody? 21 billion per month? That's a lot. It's here, guys. Is it a game changer, though? Is this just another technology that's going to come and go? Well, let's just ask somebody who kind of knows a little bit about search. And remember how fast search grew. And at one point, search was actually bigger than the display market, right? So Google's kind of bought into all these parts. So when Eric Schmidt, who is the head of search, tells you that there's $113 billion in total digital advertising worldwide, and he says that RTB, which is only a portion of display, is going to be 200 billion globally very soon.
Ulaşılabilmektedir. Ancak Facebook'ta standart reklamlar artık yeteri kadar ilgi çekmezken artan reklam
There's a whole market of people who know it, and if this makes you kind of want to get sick, that's okay. You can get sick. There's still publishers, there's still sellers, there's still buyers. But again, what Tim and James would have known, and again, why we're going to talk about multi-platform in a second, is they know that these ecosystems explode when something good comes into them. So RTB is good, people like it, and you get all kinds of specialists. So, you know, you have data practicers, you have analytics now, you have brand safety and verification. There's a company in there called Turicent, and what it does is you actually can put in dynamic creative into your ads as you send them across and figure out, you know, the purple one works for women, the blue one works for Ontario, Canada, and in Germany we're using something else. So it's an amazing ecosystem. If you don't see your name or logo up here, don't worry. That's where they put us, not exactly where we would put ourselves. Sometimes we don't even make it on here. So, you know, don't worry about it. I think I would rather talk again about buyers and sellers. And this is what we do, okay? So that's us in the middle. We can work with anybody above us and anybody below us, okay? Buyers and sellers, okay? I would say, you know, and Tim likes this term, we're kind of like an anchor technology. So if everything below us is kind of under the water, it's changing very fast. You know, let's go through a few of these things. I don't have a pointer, but advertisers, just in terms of ones that we've worked with before already in this market, some that you'll recognize for sure. Agencies, whether you have what's called the trade desk, which I'll explain in a second, or not, we can work with you. And we're going to enable people without trade desks to work in the same way as well. But if you have a trade desk, you know, so these guys kind of, you know, agencies often miss the boat in terms of how fast to respond to digital trends, and they kind of didn't miss this one. They went and developed their own trade desk so that they can get into that exchange environment and start doing stuff. But they haven't done multi-platform. What we can do is work with everybody above us and everybody below us, and that's a lot of partners, okay? We can pick up the data that comes from that partner, okay? We can learn whether, you know, in terms of the RTB enablers, whether Right Media Exchange is better versus Trade Desk or AppNexus, you know, whether AppNexus has a single kind of relationship with a publisher that we want, so we have to go into a private marketplace, etc. So we know all this stuff. and we can work with everybody in the ecosystem. And that's kind of our formula for success. You know, it's multi-platform, meaning everything that's in the beaker is somebody that we can touch. It's a seat at the table that we can have. We run a campaign through there, and we get knowledge from it, and we put it into this proprietary analysis machine called Data Lab, okay? And nobody has that. And we keep onboarding partners. It takes us about 2 weeks to onboard a partner. Nobody has that. You really have to have technological DNA to kind of do that. I've heard from and watched the team as they've been going through the whole process. It's amazing. So we can reach out, that's why we can deliver campaigns across mobile, social, web, video, in display ads. We can retarget, we can behaviorally target, we can remessage simultaneously when you run a campaign with us. All those things goes through Data Lab, and we can come up with some actionable insights very fast. We can say, hey, retargeting is working now this week on this DSP, on this exchange. Here's the price, and that's another thing we can do because we run in the global world. The ecosystem, again, we can discover price savings. We've been in all the exchanges. We know what this type of user goes for at any given time, and we can say, you know, we can get her in that exchange faster, and we can get her for less than you can with your agency with just a one-point contact. Okay? So the way you should think of us is basically that we're kind of the new Bloomberg machine. And again, if you're not a big trader or whatever, you're like, what the heck is that? Well, you probably know this stuff, right? Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Boo, JP Morgan, different people, all the people that kind of destroyed the banking system for everybody for the last 5 years, well, they go into the trading, different exchanges, and they use a technology called the Bloomberg machine. Multi-screens, lets them into all these different exchanges, lets them find commodities and lets them find them at the right price and makes it very efficient for them, okay? Well, that's kind of what we do again. We're that anchor technology, and nobody has what we have, right? So we have this data lab inside. We have this ability to talk to all these different partners, okay? And it's important for RTB because where Turkey starts out with, whether you start out with a model that is going to be really full service and gets you access to the biggest ocean of customers instead of pools, that's really important, okay? So not really blowing the Exchange Labs horn in that way, but really saying we want to enable this market. Okay, so what's the benefits for advertisers? Well, a huge, like I said, ocean. When you can talk to everybody and be in every different exchange and get every type of inventory any time of the day that you want, that's an ocean of consumers. And we know in this market that there's a big hunger for international inventory, stuff that performs for you that way, that you want to build new revenue from if you're an advertiser. You need access to premium Turkish inventory as well, display, mobile, video, social. You want it across all the screens. You want to be able to follow that consumer all the way through. We've got that for you. And that's what Turkey can have in its market. Again, multi-platform approach maximizes advertiser reach, cost efficiency. You know, again, you don't have to have 22 conversations. You're having one conversation. And of course, you're getting increased ROI, and I'll show you how in a second. Brand safety, big concern, right? You want to be on really powerful, important sites. Brand safety, whether your ad is viewable above the fold, whether you got what you paid for. Privacy, big topic, but very different in different locations, right? US and Canada pretty aligned, whereas Europe is a different program, okay? And how about transparencies? You know, you want single source reporting and actionable insights. For media owners, the best thing for you is you want to be able to monetize your inventory, right? Get better yield. You want to understand what content assets are working, and that's that other side of programmatic. The advertising can actually show you, you know what? The content that all the advertisers want is really this type. You don't have to make the exact same type, but you can keep moving forward on it, okay? And you can manage your sales team better. For agencies, we're going to give them access to Data Lab, which is the biggest and the best optimization kind of tool out there. Okay, so I told you I was going to show you that it does work and why multi-platform is important. So here's a campaign for an airline client of ours, and the goal was to drive, you know, sales in both leisure and travel. Did it work? Okay, here's the first thing you need to know. Again, multi-platform is really important because what works changes weekly. You can look at the different platforms, Trade Desk, Invite, AOP, AdX, and see that different tactics are delivering different ROI, okay? That's between platforms, even within a platform. Just on Trade Desk alone, you can see that different tactics work as well as on Invite Media, okay? So you can't have a single kind of pronged approach, and that's what a lot of providers may have. You also have to be able to react quickly, and I told you this was a people story. So what happened in this case was the advertiser actually, a competitive advertiser to this client, came in with a newspaper ad, which was a really great seed sale, and that influenced what happened in terms of ROI. And if we didn't have people to add to our equations and our technology, we wouldn't have been able to respond and get our ROI back on track. Okay? So a couple learnings. There's no flat CPM. You pay maybe a high CPM at the beginning to get that client, and then you rapidly learn about them and buy more of those, okay? And you're going to hear in this market from a lot of algorithms from now on, and what I'll tell you is you can't set it and forget it. No algorithm can win 100% of the time, okay? And that's why we have a multi-platform approach. But can you win as an advertiser? You sure can. I don't know if anybody would like 1,000% ROI on a campaign. That's pretty cool. And with this client, they were able to say, oh, you know what? We don't have to just focus on business or just leisure. We can do both. We know the tactics. This is the transparency I was telling you about. We know the tactics that work. We know the total bookings. We know the profit per booking. We can give you that kind of transparency. Okay, so the RTB market in Turkey, how do we drive it? What is our formula for success? And this is what we need. We need everybody. It's an ecosystem. You know, you don't clear cut the trees and expect the animals to live, right? We've got to all work together. So what do we have to do? We need quality inventory and lots of it. So media owners and networks have to push inventory into the system, okay? And if you haven't had a way to do that, well, we're going to do something. We're going to come to the market. We've been here for 15 months. Jem is here. He's the commercial director of Turkey, as well as Ozer and Özlem. And they've been working very hard to understand everybody's needs here. So we understand that getting into the exchange, you need a supply-side partner, and we're bringing one to Turkey that's amazing, okay? So we're going to bring that partner to Turkey. We're evaluating a bunch right now, and we're going to make it easy for you to get in. The second thing you need is you need ad serving, and I know that can be a real cost for a lot of media owners and networks as well, but you need ad serving that measures metrics that matters, not just click-through rates, not just cost per click, but things like view-through rates, people that saw an ad and later came to the site that will never get credit in a traditional kind of ad serving system. Conversion rates, ROI. Okay, so we talked about this pixel. First thing advertisers need to do, they're part of the ecosystem too. They have to pixel their websites so that we can start seeing where the traffic is going. We can start saying, okay, if she went to your order page but didn't complete, we can retarget her. Okay, can't do that without a pixel. We're going to bring DFA to the market, and basically we've teamed up with Google Dart for Advertiser, which is the ad server for them, and we're going to provide ad serving as part of all the campaigns that work for us. So you're not going to have to worry about ad serving. Okay? So if you're a small, local, business-to-business, you don't have to worry about that, even if you're a big guy. The last thing, we need reporting, actionable insights. You can have a 40-page report. We can produce those kind of things. But it's great to get insights that tell us, you know, if you were trying to drive reach, we achieved it, and here's what we would like you to do next. Ding, ding, ding. You want to drive sales? Mid-campaign, we'll tell you that, you know, we changed up our strategy, and this is where you should go forward the next time. So we need you to tell us your business objectives versus just, you know, I want CPC, and I want to pay 18 cents, and that's what I want to pay. You know, tell me what your objectives are. We'll try to reach all of them. And again, we're going to bring the data lab here so that everybody can make those insights very easily. Okay, last slide. It's a beautiful time for Turkey. It's amazing. I know you have this butterfly sort of alley here, so it's kind of nice to have this slide. I would say this is a really tricky part. You're going to want to test different people that are in the market, but beware of something we found in lots of other markets as well. It's mimicry and misinformation. So one of these butterflies is a monarch, and one's not. The little guy is a viceroy, and the big guy is a monarch. And Exchange Lab is the monarch. You know, lots more connections, lots more, you know, validity to its argument. But, you know, ask us about anything, because we know it's a complicated subject, and I'm sure you've got a lot of it today, but maybe you didn't get everything. We're here to help the market. That's what we've done in every other market. We really enjoy kind of seeing everybody profit from everything, and we're all in it together, and I'm very happy to have spoken to you. We have a team on the ground, so if you want to come to the booth or you want to talk to our guys, they're here. And I thank you for your time today.